Welcome to Go Home Heat, a sports entertainment podcast. We have Justin here with us this week in person, live.
Hola.
And we're talking Raw, SmackDown, sports entertainment. We're starting out hot. Orton, Bliss, in the ring. I hear voices in my head as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know how you know? It's in his song.
Yeah.
He hears them in his head. And so we get, I thought Orton did good here. We do a little back and forth. Lights go out. He grabs Bliss to protect himself. The Fiend kind of asks for Bliss back. And then Orton gets out of there after he hands her back. What did you think about this?
I was not. I think it looked. I didn't like it.
You didn't like it?
I didn't like some of this.
What was wrong?
Why did the Fiend? Now they can fix this. I thought the Fiend. Now this is just me. This is me fantasy booking.
Yeah.
Were in character would have been like when Randy handed Alexa Black to him like look at her for a second and throw her over his shoulder and hit her with a Samoan drop, and then look at Randy like what you thought. What you had this idea of what that I.
Right, they're not willing to go away from Alexa because they're trying to tell a story that's opposite to what you're thinking.
Well, even then, I thought Alexa should have been cool with it and like laugh the whole time or something like ridiculous like that.
I don't know if they're clever enough for that.
You know, her like be on the ground rolling around, smiling and laughing. Like, what's your plan here? We don't operate on the same level,
right,
as you. So your mind games are going to fail because we're all a little mad in here.
Right. And if they tell that story in an actual match, that would be they save it for you.
Yeah.
But if they don't, then
no.
I don't get what
I don't get the whole like the Fiend is all of a sudden, oh, he's human now or something like that.
Right, when the whole purpose of this was for her to go towards him, not for him to come to her.
Yeah.
Mentally. Okay, I got you.
But that's just me nitpicking, and the rumor was that Bray was not down for that spot, that Randy didn't think, nobody, I don't think anybody but Vince McMahon thought that was a good idea.
Really? That's the scariest thing.
Yeah.
Is that Vince is not letting Bray handle this.
Yeah.
Dang. That worries me about everything.
That worries me about everything when I hear that.
Yeah, right. Okay. Hardy versus Elias in a Symphony of Destruction match. Dude, Hardy... Okay, this was... How do I put it? They do wind up messing with the match a little bit. Of course, this is going to be a shenanigans match anyway, but you have the gong spot where Jeff moves out of the way and Elias hits his knee on the gong. You have R-Truth and his crew...
His merry man.
R-Truth's hiding in the piano, and then his crew comes down, and then Jeff and Elias manhandle that whole
group
24/7 scene in order to get back to fighting. And I do think that these guys have pretty good chemistry in the ring, considering how disjointed everything they wind up doing is, because there's always a guitar involved or something.
Weirdness.
Yeah, Elias does pretty good considering he's never in a normal match. And Jeff can, you can hand him anything and he can jump off of it. And he's very good. I mean, just in general. And then
almost killed himself.
I was getting there. Yes, it is. I think he hit him with a cello or a stand-up bass.
Stand-up bass.
That was good. Yeah, I like that. A little better than a guitar. And then, like you said, Jeff, top of the turnbuckle.
He had him on a table. What did he have him on?
He had him on a table, but it was on the side where the barricade is, which is just...
At the foot of the steel steps.
Just too close.
Yeah.
There was no distance between the table and the steps. So when he did his swanton...
There was no way to land that right.
No, not without hurting yourself on Elias, because he would have had to land it, I guess thicker would be the word, because more of his shoulders would have to be towards Elias.
Yes.
Which would have probably caused him to break his neck.
Yep.
And... he almost broke his neck anyway because he hits when he hit his head, I thought, oh my God.
Yeah, his head, he lands like flat across Elias and they go straight down and his head goes straight into that step like it's...
Yeah. And his head is like sitting up while his whole body's laying down and you're like, oh my God. But luckily for him, it's the last spot of the match. He rolls over onto Elias. He gets the win, and then he walks out of there holding his head. I'm not 100% sure how that guy is walking and talking.
I'm not sure that he knows he's not Matt Hardy at this point.
But now, that being said, it was a better spot than the Matt Hardy spot.
Yes, it was. It was. Not a good year for the Hardy Boys.
Or maybe it was a good year for the Hardy Boys.
It was both. It's both.
The best of times and the worst of times.
As many years for the Hardy Boys have been.
Yes. Okay. Riddle rolls up on Keith Lee and is doing his backstage shtick. And I do think that Riddle doing his shtick backstage, walking towards people that are unaware that he's going to be there and talking to them is better than handing him a mic in the middle of the ring.
No, I like it better. I think he's getting a little funnier.
Yeah, and the people playing off of him are good. You know, Keith Lee's able to just kind of walk away as Riddle is fantasizing about whatever he talks about all the time. Yeah, it was all right. I enjoyed it okay. We have a Retribution promo where Mustafa Ali's talking and...
Mustafa.
You're right, and that would be offensive to him. I apologize. Mustafa Ali and Ricochet, you are pushing a boulder up the hill only to have it fall back down.
Sisyphus.
Yes. Gesundheit. I really would love to see Ricochet wind up somehow in this faction because I think it would make the faction formidable, which it is not proven to be so far. Ricochet has not been formidable either. So a team of Ali and Ricochet, it was kind of like what we fantasy booked before all this started.
Yes.
A team of them taking over the tag team division would be perfect but this is not what we're getting. And,
it's not what we're going to get.
You know, it really isn't. Slapjack is the match we get here with Ricochet, and Ricochet gets it going, and Ali calls for the backups, and Ricochet fights all of them spectacularly, and then Dana Brooke slaps Ali. Ricochet fights Mace, and then T-Bar, and then...
How much does it take from the match that you have to say their names?
Yeah, and then so he walks into Slapjack's finish as Dana distracts on accident, and then he gets the beat down afterwards. The only thing I really took away from this is that Slapjack is really... You ever watch Impact? You will soon.
I will have to.
Spoiler on another show. But Crazy Steve is a character on there, and he's been there. He's not an original Impact guy because he's younger than that, but he's been there with the Rosemary character for quite some time. And he's legally blind, which is a wonderful part of his routine because it's legit that he's legally blind. But he has a thing where he snaps his head sideways, and this guy, Slapjack, he really emulates
a lot of that.
Crazy Steve a lot. I mean, Crazy Steve would be a much better version of Slapjack than Slapjack is.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. Oh, but dude, when you do watch Impact, keep an eye out for Crazy Steve. He has like a wooden fake, one of those monkeys that you would wind up that claps the cymbals.
Yes.
He's a fake one of those that's wooden that he talks to. It's off the chain.
Excellent.
Yeah. Things work on that show that don't work on other shows.
Yeah.
It's like if you put that on this show, it would be like, what are they doing? You know, it's like the huge weird spider, right? If you put that huge weird spider that Rowan had on that show.
Or making Perry Saturn talk to a tiny horse, like a wooden horse or something.
I didn't know where you were going with that for a second, but okay, yes.
There's several Perry Saturn ways.
Horse.
Yes.
Okay. A horse, of course. Okay.
We're not talking about
correct.
Mrs. Runnels.
Yes. Oh.
Ooh.
Miz versus Morrison. In-ring, not Miz and Morrison, apologies. In-ring promo. Miz TV points out the obvious that Drew hasn't given his best buddy a title shot.
Yeah.
Sheamus here. He's 5 years since Sheamus has smelt a WWE championship, and you got a best friend that won't even let you have a shot at the title there. And Sheamus, of course, eventually gets fed up with all this mess, and it goes south, and we get a fight here.
And Sheamus gets beat up.
He does.
And Drew McIntyre does not come out to make the save.
Correct. And Sheamus will be irritated by that later. We get the briefcase used to help him win this. Asuka and Lana backstage.
Here's a little detail that I thought actually appreciated.
Go ahead.
All right, when he's beating him with the briefcase pops open.
Mm-hmm.
The contract is actually in the briefcase.
He showed it to us, too, to make sure we knew that this is legit.
Yeah.
I think that's great.
I think that's great. The contract's actually in the briefcase. It's not just carrying around a briefcase.
Yeah, I also thought, like, I don't know, I've heard him talk about how if you're the champ, you really are responsible for the belt, which can be a little bit, because you go through airports and stuff like that. But I think it's cool that you are responsible for the belt and that you do. It's not a prop.
Unless you're Chris Jericho and you leave in the back of a taxi.
Yes, and then get mad at the limo driver.
Yes.
Like he did something wrong. Yeah, okay. Asuka and Lana backstage. How drunk was he?
Wow. A little bit of the bubbly.
Do you think that he just... stop over here and let me get a steak.
Yes.
And, oops, I left my
championship.
Yeah. Okay. Asuka and Lana are backstage. And they have a little back and forth where Asuka talks and Lana kind of sort of acts like she knows. They have a pleasant
interaction.
Correct. Of course, Baszler and Nia do a backstage thing next because this is the match we're going to get.
It's not the match we want.
But it is the match we're going to get. Yes. Okay. Lana is a little better in this match than I thought she'd be.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to give her some credit.
She's getting better, yeah. Asuka has a great hot tag segment in there. Hold on, yeah. It sets up Lana for a crossbody off the top turnbuckle, and Shayna rolls through it, and it looks as if...
She pops right into the Kirifuna clutch, if I remember, doesn't she?
Correct. And it looks as if we've got Lana about to tap out or whatever, and then Asuka runs in.
And knees are right in the... Shayna right in the back of the head.
It puts her out.
Yeah.
And then we get the 1, 2, 3 there.
Because Alana's already on top of her because she was holding her in the clutch position. So when Baszler falls back, Lana's in the pin.
You don't see that finish much.
No, not really.
You don't. It's weird too because you're allowed to go in there and break up the hold.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always just I run in and I push them. Half the time they don't even make it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it was. I thought it was a unique finish.
Yeah, you didn't see it. Didn't see that coming.
No, and she smoked her.
Oh yeah.
So it works. It made sense if you're facing the other direction and you're engaged in a hold.
This will be a new tactic. Like she's gonna get Asuka becomes the champion by using Lana as like a stalking goat. Like when the other team attacks her, she attacks them from behind.
Exactly. Yeah. I like it. Bait.
That'll be their team name in the team.
Oh,
Decoy.
Boy. There was one bad spot, though.
That's like Batman and Robin. Why does Robin wear all the bright colors?
Absolutely. Dude, they pointed that... I have watched some of the Teen Titans.
Uh-huh.
Full disclosure, I'll fast forward through parts that I don't think are... It's like I do with any soap opera. If there's a character I don't find interesting, I don't give him a chance to be interesting. I just fast forward through his parts. Jason Todd tells Dick Grayson, he's like, there's a reason why. Dick Grayson tells Jason Todd, there's a reason why you dressed up funny and you're running around, because they're not doing the bright colors. But he does say, Batman kind of uses you for bait, dude.
Yeah, dude.
You know what I mean? And you might want to figure that out. If you're okay with it, that's fine. And Jason Todd, of course, being gung-ho, doesn't care that he's being used for bait. But it's still a neat little thing. Rough spot in here where every tag team match, the person's running towards them and they fall and they pull the middle rope down and the person falls out of the ring or the top rope down. And Nia sees it, realizes she should have kept going.
Yes.
And then does go eventually. And it's like...
There's a 10-second pause. Not 10 seconds. It felt long, though.
Right. You know what was crazy is, I want to say this because I thought for a person who hasn't wrestled a whole lot, in NXT, Shotzi had a thing where she was supposed to go over the top rope.
Mm-hmm.
She did, but it was middle rope. She was supposed to go through. She was supposed to be thrown through the middle rope, and she got hemmed up on it, and she was smart enough to not just jump on the ground like Nia did. She turned, and Gonzalez realized, okay, I've got to knock her down there for this next spot because it didn't work. Nia should have done something. I get that the spot involves you being out there. You have to figure out another way to get there.
Yeah, it can't be you stop, look around for a second, and then run forward and dive between the middle rope.
It made no sense because Lana was literally just laying there holding that rope forever.
Yeah.
And
that was not on Lana either, I don't think.
No. I think Nia just
missed the spot.
Or turned and realized, well, if I was at whatever angle, she's tall, so if she runs at the wrong angle, she'll choke herself or whatever trying to get through there. You know what I mean? But
the only thing I think is maybe Lana should have grabbed the top rope for Nia, and she just grabbed the middle.
Absolutely, because she could have caned it out of there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Put her arm over, and you know how Kane does it. He puts his arm on the apron and just pivots himself over. She could have done that much easier than trying to get through a middle rope. You're right about that. I do find it fascinating when tag teams, when competitors, something goes awry and they fix it rather than have it look stupid.
Yeah.
Like if I go for a swing and I'm supposed to punch you and you're supposed to fall into the turnbuckle and I completely miss you and I know I've missed you.
Yes.
Then I follow it up with a roundhouse kick or something to put you into that spot rather than...
You throw yourself backwards like you got shot with a cannon.
Correct.
Even though it's obvious I missed you by 6 inches.
Correct. I find that better. And then it puts the commentator in a less awkward spot too.
Oh my God.
To figure out why it is you fell.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we wind up...
Didn't get all of that one is my favorite.
Yes. Didn't get any of that one.
No. Didn't touch him.
Xavier Woods is happy about having his G4 hosting thing. And I believe that whole segment was Vince saying, see, I do let them do their stuff outside of this.
As long as they give me the money.
Yeah. Well, he's going to leave that part out, obviously. And so then we get the Hurt Business comes down, and Cedric Alexander is beginning to play the role of Jey Uso in the Hurt Business, and I like it.
I like it too.
And
I'm no Shelton Benjamin.
Yes, I did catch it. Well, we see the seeds of
dissension.
Yes, we see it before and after match. We get Xavier Woods. We wind up with a challenge in here, and
I'm on a fantasy book here.
Go ahead.
What if Cedric Alexander comes in there and ends up causing all this chaos in the Hurt Business, getting Shelton booted out for being a loser and stuff like that, and it turns out he was actually Retribution's sleeper agent the whole time? You could save angles with storytelling, folks.
Oh, that would be so good, and you could bring those three together.
Yes.
Oh, and that would have been what we wanted in the first place.
Exactly.
Oh, goodness. This was really good. I mean, they're fantastic wrestlers. And eventually we wind up with Woods in the suicide dive, and then he rolls Alexander into the ring and takes a little bit too much time, and Alexander hits the lumbar check, which is a awful looking, wonderful move.
Yep.
And he gets the win, and he parties down the runway.
Leaves them all behind.
Yeah, does not seem to even be thinking about MVP and Shelton Benjamin. Which I thought was, again...
Yeah.
We're sowing the seeds of dissent right there. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Discontent. Okay, sudden death match triple threat with which sounds more dangerous than it really is. It just means the first pinfall, right? Riddle approaches AJ. I guess this is, AJ, dude. Bunny, Skippy, and the big guy laughs about it because
he knows that.
Yes, he tells a joke about, I can't call you Skippy because Skippy's my bunny or whatever, and the big guy knows who Skippy is, and AJ's getting concerned that the big guy's better friends with Riddle than he is AJ and all that. Yeah, I thought it was good. AJ was actually really good outside of the ring in this well as inside.
He's a great, in any comedy bit, you got to have Dean Martin and you got to have,
Jerry Lewis.
I don't want to say his name, but yeah, Jerry Lewis.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Riddle's your Jerry Lewis, and AJ's your Dean. You got to have some, or your Abbott and Costello. You've got to have somebody to play off of.
And AJ can be both.
Yeah.
He can be Jerry Lewis or Dean.
Yeah.
He's really good, yeah. So then we get the match, AJ versus Keith Lee versus Riddle. This is phenomenal talent in the ring. Keith Lee leaps over both, cross Buicks, both of them. Lee winds up throwing AJ into the big guy's arms again, and we'd get this spot, which I guess is going to become a weekly spot, which I like, the one where he throws AJ up onto the apron. AJ kicks Lee in the head. Riddle gets into AJ. This is really high level. He does a springboard somersault into both Lee and AJ.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because it is absolutely a Matt Riddle versus a Matt Riddle and Keith Lee showcase match.
Mm-hmm.
But AJ is so good he can't help but showcase himself as he sells for the other two individuals.
As he makes them look good, yeah.
Right. And which is exactly why you have an AJ Styles in your company. He slides into he even slides into ring posts like he's a star. He's incredible. Riddle counters a spirit bomb with an arm bar. Styles climbs to turnbuckle. Keith leaping headbutt into his abdomen. Then it gets really crazy. Lee tosses Riddle on. AJ hits a cross body and Lee kicks out. And when he kicks out, he lifts AJ, who flies from one pinning predicament onto Riddle in another pinning predicament, which was incredible. And then, and the fact that it didn't look like
hokey.
Yeah.
Like that actually
There's no
happened.
way you can say that without it being hokey.
Yeah.
But it looked okay, which is crazy. And then Riddle is landing multiple shots on Lee to the head, and as he gets Lee in trouble, setting up whatever feud they may have in the future, because you at this point you can't wait to watch Riddle and Lee get into a program together, even though it could be a year from now.
Oh, easily, yeah.
And AJ hits the flying elbow for the win, and I thought that was just amazing. 20 minutes or whatever they gave us right
it was
there.
a great match.
Mm-hmm.
Great match. It was.
Speaking of amazing, Reckoning has a unveiling of who she actually is during this match, and I'm not sure that was on purpose.
Really? Yeah.
Reckoning of Retribution, which I did not realize her name was Reckoning. I thought she was Mia Yim, and then later I would be proven correct.
Yes.
She has a match with Dana Brooke, and this was okay, but Dana winds up knocking her little mask off, or not a mask. It's like a, what would you call that? What do they put on dogs?
A muzzle?
Yes, it looks like a muzzle, right?
It's almost a muzzle. It's almost like a.
And she puts it on there, so I'm not being mean.
No. It's almost like a Silence of the Lambs style, like.
Right. That's the impression we're supposed to be getting, along with the headband, and both come off during the match, and so we get a Mia Yim Dana Brooke match, which is fine. It's okay, but Reckoning loses.
Yeah. That's what happened.
And Mustafa gets furious and says there's absolutely zero failures in this faction.
They've lost all their matches but one, I think, or two.
Only Ricochet loses to them.
Yes.
Anybody else
wins.
Right. But there will be no.
She's only got one loss. They've got several.
Yes. Well, has Mustafa been pinned?
No, but he's been in tag matches with the Hurt Business where they lost.
Right. Well, maybe he thinks it maybe what he means by there will be no failures, he means just basically him and her.
Oh.
And that the other guys are factored in failures.
Oh, yeah, that makes more sense.
Like the fact that I put them in stupid masks so that people could make fun of them for being stupid.
Yes.
And I gave them stupid names because that way they'll understand what it's like to have a stupid name.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Testing them.
Yeah, you're testing my patience with that show, with that program. That's what you're doing. That's just awful.
Okay, Miz and Morrison backstage with a fresh peach pie. Ask AJ for help, and AJ says he's more than happy to help him, and Miz doesn't understand why until AJ explains that it's because Miz is not nearly as good as Drew McIntyre, so he'd much rather face Drew.
I mean, face Miz.
Yes, absolutely.
I was like, yeah, finally somebody points it out.
Yeah, of course I want you to win the title. I'll beat you.
Yeah,
right.
You're a lot easier.
I like it. And And Big Guy points out that it's actually cobbler, not pie, which I think that the fact that he gets the
difference between cobbler and pie.
Absolutely. I think that we're showing a depth to this character.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Riddle are friends, and he understands the difference between cobbler and pie. He's
probably bakes on the weekends.
Maybe.
Yes.
Maybe so. Matt Riddle has ideas, and MVP is not wanting to hear that either. And we're going to get a Riddle Lashley program, which I like. Lashley rolls up on Riddle after MVP shows his disgust, puts the beat down on Mr. Riddle.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed this segment.
I enjoyed it. I'm glad this is going to be a feud.
Correct, because I'm looking incredibly forward to Lashley Riddle in the ring.
Yes, that's what I'm looking forward to.
I may be looking more forward to MVP's disgust in anything that comes out of Riddle's mouth.
Yes, that'll be entertaining as well.
Yeah. Okay. Keith Lee says to Sheamus, hey, it's none of my business, but some of the fellas think you're going to turn on your
tag team partner.
Yes, your friend Drew McIntyre.
The one who left you out there to get a beating earlier.
Right, and which Sheamus replies, you're right, it is none of your business, and excuse me, I have to go turn on my tag team partner.
I love that.
Yeah, I liked it too. That was great. Drew promo pre-match with Charlie says he's done everything he said he was going to do. He beat Randy. He made Roman doubt himself. He no beef between him and AJ, and the match will be phenomenal, which is always great to throw that in there. Miz, only thing keeping you relevant is that Money in the Bank briefcase. I thought Drew did well here until he says, what does he say at the end there? It drove me a little crazy. I'm going to stick the briefcase where the sun doesn't shine. Dude, he had me.
Right up to that moment?
He had me, and then the sun doesn't shine thing. It was just like, dude.
Really?
Less is more sometimes.
Less is more. You don't have to say so much.
You're not relevant unless you have that briefcase.
Mm-hmm. Done.
Don't bring it over here because you'll lose it.
Mm-hmm.
That was great.
Yeah.
And again, it's with Drew, I think I nitpick more than just about anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's a couple of guys in another company that I nitpick unfairly too.
Mm-hmm.
But this, he's got so much. He's like everything you could, like if you were to draw a picture of a wrestler.
Well, yeah.
It's Drew.
Or the cover for a Harlequin romance.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really his calling.
Mm-hmm.
He is Fabio.
Yes.
Like a modern day Fabio.
Yes.
Google Fabio, guys.
Yeah.
And I apologize for recommending that. If you do it, actually. McIntyre Sheamus versus Miz and Morrison. AJ on commentary here, and I thought this was really good too.
Mm-hmm.
Morrison does a 780 on a shoulder block.
I saw that. I had to go back and watch that twice.
He is so ridiculous.
I had to watch that twice. It's
Oh
like the first time I ever double watched a shoulder block. I was like, geez, that dude just...
How did he do that? Right. Two things about Morrison. One is he's on this week's episode of Miz and Mrs. And so I taped it. I don't ever watch that show. I watched it, I think, one season.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't watched it since, but because he was on there, I wanted to watch it because I find Morrison fascinating, and their dynamic. It's almost like an extended version of the show they have on the network, Ride Along, and I thought it was good. And it just Morrison taking the Miz to a parkour place to work out one afternoon is just everything.
I bet it is, because it's not the Miz.
Because just as soon as the Miz thinks he's got it going on the obstacle course, which means he gets over 4 things really well, great, and then it's I swing from one monkey bar to the other, and gravity doesn't affect Morrison like it does Miz.
No, not normal humans.
Falls and hurts his back immediately. You know what I mean? So 5th exercise, he's just as soon as he's like, I'm doing good. It's number 4. Boom, he hits his
Done.
back. Right. Then anyway, but also on Twitter, Morrison yesterday put out there that 3.5 years into his career, he did a tribute to the troops match. Only time he ever faced Taker. And it was a quick highlight package.
That, yeah.
I thought, you have the greatest WWE superstar in that match, right? And then it's like there's really no rhyme or reason to, even though Morrison bounced around other companies, there's really no rhyme or reason that he isn't so much higher up on the pecking order. There's like a 15, 12 year spot in his career where he was either not wrestling or wrestling in things that weren't on TV, and then he does the Lucha Underground stuff, which I really like. But even there was a little bit there where he wasn't one of the main guys, and then he winds up being the guy, right? He should be, and he still could be, because he still can do everything, but he should be in that conversation with the Shawn Michaelses.
Oh, definitely.
He's more talented than anybody that's ever gotten in a ring.
Yeah.
Physically.
But they won't. Vince McMahon, there's your answer.
Yeah. Well, that's on, but again, that's only the front and back of his career. There's a whole middle there where he chose to make Hercules movies. And I like Boone the Bounty Hunter. It's fun, you know,
But everywhere else he's been a champ.
Oh, yeah. And he was he the ECW champ or something for a minute?
Yeah.
Right. Probably because I think, what was it? Angle was like, I don't want to be on that show. Because I think Vince's concept, I believe, at one time was, I want ECW to be my wrestling show, and you're the greatest wrestler, so you need to be my ECW champ. And Kurt was like, yeah, but like, no. Why do I want to be on Sci-Fi when I can be on? No. You know. Anyway, I'm sorry.
I don't even know what Sci-Fi is.
Yes, which absolutely sounds like a Kurt Angle
quote
shtick. Yeah. And we wind up getting a very good match, and then AJ decides it's time to help, and he jumps Drew, and as he's beating Drew down, interrupting the match,
they disposed of Sheamus first beat him up, threw him over the railing.
Correct. Now it's 2-on-1. It turns into 3-on-1, and then he goes and gets AJ goes and gets the briefcase.
And says, Miz is like, why did you cost us the match? Because he's like, dude, the match is...
Who cares?
Who cares, dude?
Right here's I think he yells at him, he's down.
Yeah.
Use the briefcase. And so then the Miz is going to, but then they piss around and take up too much time, and Drew...
Claymores, everybody.
Clears the ring. And the best spot of the whole thing was, rather than have Drew knock AJ over the top rope, Drew starts to run towards AJ, and the big guy pulls AJ out of the ring and puts him on his shoulder. And we cut to credits as AJ is screaming at Drew that if his bodyguard would put him down, Drew would be in so much trouble right now. Oh, I loved it. Big dog, little dog. Oh, it was. Yep. Exactly. Oh, my God. So good. Now, did you like the episode?
I did. It was a lot of fun.
It was fun.
There's some weak spots, but it's 3 hours. You're going to have weak spots.
Right. SmackDown is the next thing that happens in your WWE week. It's on a Friday night. We do Pat Patterson tribute all night. And
we should.
I thought they did a great job.
Classy.
I enjoyed both the NXT and
SmackDown tributes.
Where you mix his voice in with Sinatra's. I guess his go-to karaoke song was My Way. And Miro online mentions that somewhere in Europe they really enjoy, I think it was Europe, so they really enjoyed karaokeing together, and you ran that, and I guess they had a karaoke day at the developmental facilities when Pat Patterson would be there. And I saw footage of excuse me, of Charlotte, and I believe Sasha and Bailey were on the front row clapping as he's
doing My Way.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Right. And then it was really, I saw this thing. Point of business. We are no longer partnered up with a company that I mentioned a while back, but I did. They splintered into two things, and we didn't wind up going with either side of it. Which wish them both the best. But the one splintering of it turned into this company called The Buzz, and they have a segment that they do on their Facebook Live-ish stuff where they talk to Tyson Kidd. And he's been on, I think, 2 weeks in a row. Excellent. And they asked Tyson Kidd. TJ is, one of those great minds. He's credited with a lot of these great matches we're seeing now on NXT. And they ask him about, they do ask him about Pat Patterson. And he said, I can't remember, I don't think he quoted who the friend was that mentioned to him, but he said, a guy told me the other day, and it's so true, that at some point we just become stories about ourselves. And he said the stories about Pat Patterson are always going to be these uplifting things. And from what we've seen, the outpouring of love for this man from all of these superstars,
everybody's worked for him with him.
Right. He not only did he affect me as a human, he affected me and helped me have the best matches of my. So professionally, he helped me be who I am. Absolutely. But also,
he was a great person.
Right. It's really good. And what a great. At some point, you're just what people think about you. People tell stories of you and things like that, which is kind of a neat way to think of your life. If you live it in a way that. You strive
good stories.
To. Right. As long as they're not hammering you too bad. All right. Kayla is with Roman. He comes out and she tries to give him what for, and he is having none of it. He says, we took a chance on allowing you to do this interview. I have a professional like Michael Cole over there to do this interview. And
can you imagine that he would have gotten for that little comment if there had been live crowds there? Start highlighting Michael Cole.
Yeah.
That's how you build heat right there.
That is. They do a quick replay of what's been going on with Usos, and he says, she says, Kevin doesn't fear you. Do you fear Kevin? And he says, this is the most
stupid question.
Yes.
You're most relevant you've ever been right now because you're standing here on the island of relevancy with me.
Right, and then you blow it.
And
so try another question, and that turns into, are you manipulating Jay? Which, again, Jay's been in 5 main events in a row. He's main event Uso. He's never been more relevant. He's on the Isle of Relevancy, which he continues to go back to. And you're blowing this again. Paul, can you handle this for me? Ratings are up when Jay Uso's on TV. All of that good stuff. KO interrupts. Let's not wait. Let's do this now. Jay, of course, being who Jay is, says, I'm going to get him, or let's do this.
Yeah, he grabs the mic that Paul's going to hand to Roman, which I'm going to put on Jay.
Yeah, that's Jay's fault, right? And then Kevin Owens points out that he was not addressing the busboy. He was talking to the head of the table, which I thought was quite clever.
Nice.
And then let's do this at TLC, or we can do this right now. And again, Roman hits on your visit to the Island of Relevancy is the best thing that's happened in your career lately. I back down from no man. My cousin's correct about this. But about as far as fighting right now, do I look like a savage to you? There's a lady in the room. Grow up.
Yeah.
Which I thought was so perfect.
Yes.
Every bit of this first portion of the show was
perfect.
Absolutely. And KO is, he goes with the whole, and dude, I am so over hearing the word bitch on TV.
I don't think it works. I think you've done it so much now that it's lost its potency it doesn't work for me.
Well, it was awesome when it came out of The Rock's mouth in 93.
Yeah.
And now it's, so many of and don't get me wrong, I don't get offended by the term.
It's not defensive. It's just
Sasha says it every female championship run that they wind up saying bitch somewhere in every program.
Yeah.
Over and over again. Anytime you want to challenge a man's manhood.
Yeah.
And to me, it's not that I am offended or whatever. It's just the cussing on TV at this point in time, in prime time, does nothing for me.
No. Everything I watch has cussing in it nowadays.
Be clever.
Be clever. I don't need cussing.
Right. There's a way to say that to Roman that's clever.
Well, you could have said when he goes to leave the ring, be like, say something along, well, the ladies left the ring now.
Right.
Along those lines or something like that. If you got to go with that joke.
Yeah, there is a way to be clever in these things without
resorting to the cheap pop.
That's the crutch.
That's a crutch. Yeah, I agree.
To me, that's here we are in Sheboygan.
Yeah.
That's the modern version of that, right? Ooh, he said it. And then again, like when you're on, they don't do it on Fox, of course, but on the other one, if you on USA or whatever, if you use a cuss word, it's like,
so what?
I heard him, dude.
Yeah.
I had HBO a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was in actually middle school. The
Yeah.
most cuss words I think I ever heard was middle school.
There you go.
And it really worked in middle school. You cuss in middle school, you're the guy.
Woo!
Yes, sir. Okay. Jay is backstage, and I don't know that I enjoy anything in pro wrestling right now more than I enjoy Jay hyped up.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I know I messed up. You know, and he's just firing it off, and it's just like, oh my God, slow down, dude.
Slow down.
And then Roman saying, hey, it's okay, but there are consequences for our actions.
Uh-huh. And I love you.
And I love you. And
You
it was
knew
just like,
something horrible was going to happen.
oh, dude. And Jay's reaction was great.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I stepped in it, didn't I?
Yeah. Well, you step in it week to week, Jay.
Yeah, but you can, but when he talks, you can just feel how easy it is for him to just run into barbed wire on accident.
Yeah.
Everybody else would see barbed wire, not
Yeah.
Jay. He runs into it.
Uh-huh.
You know, he's his own worst enemy at all times, and best friend by the same token.
Yes.
Bianca, because he wants the heat, he wants the smoke, he wants interaction, he likes the fighting and all that. So it's okay. Bianca Belair is on commentary with Cole and Graves. I thought she was great here. Bayley versus Natty.
Were you surprised by the finish? The match was only okay.
Done. The match's point was to start a feud between Bayley and Bianca. And Bayley turns to Bianca many times, but that is not why she lost.
That was a clean loss.
It was a clean loss in the middle of the ring where a champion, one of the more renowned women's wrestlers in history, taps out to Natty clean.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved it.
I thought it was awesome.
A lot of people were mad and talking about how Bayley was buried. It's like, you can't bury Ric Flair.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And not
No.
that Bayley's Ric Flair, but she is a pillar of this company.
Yes.
You can't bury her. You can't bury Sasha. You can't bury Becky. You can't bury Charlotte. You can't bury Asuka. You know, you can try, but their talent is too good,
It's
and
gonna
you
shine
can
through.
immediately stick them in a program and give them a title, and nobody will think about it for the next 5 years at least. So it was fine, and it did something that needed to happen, which is legitimize Natty, who had been a comic book character for the last month.
Thank you.
Right?
She deserves it.
Yes, absolutely. Especially when we're talking about great workers like we're doing, because, again, we go back to Pat Patterson, who was one of the great workers, and I thought this next segment, I loved it. And it went from a really fun match to a house show over the course of the time period.
Yeah.
And we wound up with this is a Pat Patterson tribute match because he was your first Intercontinental Champion. He won it in Rio de Janeiro in a tournament. And so we send out former champs along with the current champs. Sami Zayn's out there, Big E's out there, Dolph's out there. Dolph has 6 Intercontinental Championships, which I did not realize.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes when we think they didn't utilize that guy, we've got to the point where we don't respect that championship like probably we should.
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan, Rey Mysterio, Big E is on the other side. Big E winds up with the old
Shinsuke Nakamura, Sami Zayn, and
Sami
Dolph.
Zayn and Dolph are on the other, right? Now Big E gets his powder back for the old basketball style, rub my hands, weightlifting too. More weightlifting, really. You know, you think of it kind of modern because Jordan did it and LeBron does it. But, or I don't know if LeBron still does it, but he did it one time. But yeah, I think of it, when I see Big E do it, I think of it as I'm going to pick up, I'm fixing to clean and jerk. Yeah. Is what I think of when I see that. Okay, so we get this matchup, and Big E showcase early on. Nakamura and Dolph both sell like champs for Big E here.
Dude, yes.
And Sammy gets a blind tag, but winds up getting Mysterio winds up getting him in a couple of pinning predicaments. Dolph winds up tagging in. He gets a zigzag on DB. Top rope Steiner style from DB that gets turned into a roll up. My goodness,
there was a lot of wrestling in this match.
Well, you have, like, if you were to say, hey, round me up great workers, boom, you circle all those guys.
All those guys
are great. And even Big E can do his thing for people. Now, the finish winds up being Mr. Small Package. And then we get the spot where the baby faces are leaving and the heels, Zayn is complaining because it wasn't fair, and Dolph is complaining because it wasn't fair, and Shinsuke is complaining because it wasn't fair. And so the faces come back to the ring, and we're going to get a fist fight. And Dolph says, ready, 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 let's go. And then Dolph backs away, and then he points to his head like he's smart. He does a little bit of a Shawn Michaels. Not a Ric Flair strut, but the Shawn thing, which, of course, is who he's always kind of emulating in a way. And we wind up with the other two heels cleared the ring, and then everybody hits their finish on Dolph to the point where Dolph is a comic book character bouncing around like Wile E. Coyote. He winds up in the
perfect position for the 619.
Perfect position for Big E's finish, which was, again, this was supposed to be a tribute to Pat, and this was supposed to be fun. And they managed to give us that.
That's fine.
I thought it was great.
I have no problem with it.
And I almost, when I saw it, I almost thought, man, I really miss going to house shows. Because they're awesome.
Yeah. How about that old Intercontinental Championship belt? That looked cool, didn't it?
Wow.
That thing's cool.
It did look cool. It was great. KO gets an interview backstage where Kevin Owens is, basically, I used to look up to to Roman, and which is strange
because he's been in the business like twice as long as Roman.
Right, but maybe I used to some degree, enjoy the fact that he was the same guy all the time, and maybe even more approachable outside of the ring than inside the ring, that kind of thing. But then we get the oddest
Kalisto walking through the shot.
I do think that was planned.
Yes,
I think that it was because he was like, you can't even be nice to people, and immediately Kalisto opens the door and nice fedora, and he takes the time to talk to him.
Yeah.
So I think it was a plant, but it was kind of a funny little quirk segment there. Sasha and Mella, not a funny, quirky segment. I didn't get much out of this. They have a talk off. Again, we have the whatever. The only thing I really took away from this was when Mella said, I've had the belt more in one of my title reigns than you have in all of yours combined. I thought to myself, not only is that true, but how terrible is that?
It's depressing.
Because I like Carmella, but she ain't Sasha Banks.
No, like when Carmella said, how annoying is it to you that you had to work so hard and I wandered in here and it just came so easy to me? And I'm like, no, the ring part didn't come easy to you because I've watched you wrestle. You've gotten way better, but nowhere on your best day were you Sasha Banks.
No, and she kind of told the tale a little bit when she said, basically I was a Laker girl and I walked in here on a whim and I wound up being, the same thing as you. And it does, you could totally see where a Sasha would be like, and they didn't go further down that rabbit hole kind of, because Sasha was just like, no, I'm the best, which is true, but I would have maybe liked you're right, you kind of and she did say everything you've ever won, somebody handed to you, you had to do with no chin, which was totally unfair.
No, yeah, why you got that poor guy?
The guy doesn't have a chin. Why would you make fun of him for that? But anyway, this was whatever. Alea and Murphy walk to the ring. As a matter of fact, we're going to have the entire heel faction of the Mysterio family.
Let me point out the greatest travesty I've ever seen.
Hot pink.
Oh my God, that shirt was awful.
Hot pink turtleneck.
Hot pink turtleneck with a gold chain.
On a tall person.
On a tall, gangly person.
Possibly rayon?
Yeah,
if they still use rayon on things, that's rayon.
It looked flammable.
It did. It was very slickish.
Yes.
That was what was it somebody said? Man, I can't remember who said this online. But he said, Mom, I'm on a network TV show now. I can dress myself.
That was just awful.
Woo, boy. And okay, so Corbin has a little faction here. Now, they haven't got their clothes together yet because they were wearing hoodies with black dress coats.
Yeah.
But we have the formerly known as Forgotten Sons minus Riker come down
Who got canceled.
I think he did.
He got canceled.
I think he did, yeah. And so then we get a matchup here. And it was whatever. It was okay. These guys are really good workers. It's just there's so much going on here when you have a whole Mysterio family along with two guys we're kind of trying to introduce.
I love that this is stupid. This annoys me.
Yes.
These guys come walking down the ring. Everybody in the ring immediately recognizes exactly who they are because they watch the program. They watch the product. Mm-hmm. Michael Cole sits there. Who are these mysterious men?
And Graves is like, oh, that's the Forgotten Sons.
Yeah.
And Graves even more so winds up saying, Murphy and him were partners.
Partners. They won the NXT Tag Team Championships.
Like Cole's like, who are these people? And Graves is like, actually, there's a legitimate story to tell here, Michael. Other than whatever on earth.
Yeah. Alexa Bliss can get involved too because you should be their manager. What the hell, folks?
Right.
Watch your own product.
Right. Now, Corbin is in trouble and he sicks his guys on the Mysterio family, and that leads to the distraction, which causes Murphy to try to help the family, and then the boys run through the ring. The evil henchmen run through the ring, which leads Murphy into an end of days finish.
Look good. I liked it.
I
thought this was all too busy and they really didn't need all this crap around this match, but if you're going to do it, it was well done.
Correct. And Corbin, probably to be relevant, is going to require some henchmen.
Yes.
So this works a little bit.
Yes.
Okay. Now, Street Profits are talking backstage, and I can hear them talk all the time. Rude and Cesaro interrupt, and I kind of would love it if somehow Rude and Cesaro wound up being in a tag team together.
Oh, yeah. I
but
wouldn't mind that.
I don't think that's where we're going. I think we're going triple threat.
Yeah.
At the TLC thing, which is still going to be good.
Oh, it'll be great.
Right. We wind up in the main event here coming up next, which is Otis and Kevin Owens and Jay and Roman. But I forgot to mention with the Kalisto thing that Otis does walk up during that interview, and he gives an interview, and I felt like Otis did more of what I want Otis to do.
I was thinking
tonight.
the same thing.
He was
less funny.
Right, but he was still
jovial,
likable.
Yeah.
But I'm a tough guy. I'm a working man. I don't mind dirt under my fingernails. That's why I like you too, Kevin.
Uh-huh.
And it had that, not quite Dusty Rhodes, because nobody's ever been Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah, but it was what he's going for.
But it was so much better than what we've been getting out of him.
Thank you.
And the match was too for him. And so we get this match where it's supposed to be Jay, but remember, it's supposed to be Jay and Roman, but remember, Roman told him there'd be consequences for his actions.
Uh-huh.
We get him because Roman doesn't come out right away.
Like 5 minutes in the match, which we think, actually that's what we think the consequences are.
We think he's not going to have any help.
Yeah.
Roman comes out after Jay's been getting beat up. Jay actually flips the script a little bit, and then Roman comes out. And then Roman tags in. No. Jay fights to where he could tag in.
Well, no, he tags in once. He does a little bit, gets out, tags right back in.
And then when it's time for both of them to make their hot tags, Roman jumps the gun, runs across the ring, attacks Otis, puts Otis completely out of commission to the point where he just hammers him with the steel stairs.
I've never seen anybody hit them like that times with steel stairs like that.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And this was great because Roman is showing I'm playing chess, the rest of you are playing checkers.
Yep.
And I thought it was done well, perfectly done. So good. And then we wind up with
the 2-on-1 for a while.
Absolutely. Now Jay winds up doing Jay, which means it gets away from him a little bit when he gets excited, and it winds up costing him. And then Kevin gets the better of him. But then, of course, they flip it again to where Jay is going to win this thing with a flying Uso, but Roman insists he be tagged in.
Mm-hmm. Get down and tag me in. I'm the leader. I get the win.
Right. But then that doesn't work, and eventually Kevin hits the stunner.
Kevin knocks Roman off the rope, down, and then hits the stunner real quick and gets a quick pin.
Right. But Roman breaks up the pin.
Breaks up the pin and starts hammering him.
And then Roman decides the outcome of the match isn't what's important here, and we get the DQ win for KO. However, Kevin takes a beat down, and he goes and he sends Jay to go get chairs, and we think, okay, we're going to commercial break with which standard heel fare here is we go to the credit scene with Jay and Roman beating him with a chair, but that's not where this ends, because Roman turns the chair onto Jay, and then he turns that into, and this guy, dude, I follow this guy when I'm watching, he's on Twitter, and I find him hilarious. Bad News Brown to Chief Rocca, and he, what was it he said in here? He said, oh, I know what he said. He said, Roman showing Jay that Bobby Knight love.
Yeah, buddy. Play for me, buddy. You do what I say, you get the chair.
Dude, that guy hammers at home every wrestling thing that he does a tweet along with. I crack up at him. But yeah, that's a home run if you know who Bobby Knight is, because that dude, he wound up, he was Hall of Fame coach. I think they had a perfect season with Quinn Buckner. Isaiah Thomas won a title. He's famous one time, and he was in Mexico, and he was driving to the airport and was going to get a DUI, but he punched a cop and got to the airport instead, and could never go back to Mexico.
Yes,
that kind of weird character in history, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so and like I said, he got fired for he had his hands on a kid's throat in practice, and Roman, of course, goes this route. Not that that's funny, by the way.
No,
I'm sorry.
Not funny.
But okay. Anyway, yeah, so Roman goes wild on Jay, and then winds up going really wild on Kevin, letting Kevin know how this is all his fault, and you wanted to turn me into a monster in front of everybody. Well, now you see what you've gotten. And he just continues to pummel Kevin as we go out of here. And the horror on Paul's face
is awesome. I love him.
So great. He is doing such a good job of selling Roman as more frightening than
Brock Lesnar
was, which is such an interesting piece to this whole puzzle.
Yeah.
Right? And I think, dude, Roman continues to be the most interesting thing in pro wrestling.
Right now he is, bar none.
Right. It's crazy, too. It is crazy how good he is right now because, and I will say this, too, that move where he attacked Otis was so next level because why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
You literally don't get, you can't get counted out. You haven't been tagged in yet. They don't ever stop a match for something like that.
You're attacking the guy not in the match, so they can't DQ you for that either.
Correct. So it's like, how come I don't see that all the time? And yet here we get it, and it's unique, it's new, it's fresh, it's like everything his character has been. And it's amazing what he's done.
Just good stuff.
Oh, great day, huh?
Oh, loved it.
What a good week we had. All right, for my man Justin from EKP, this is a Go Home Heat production, copyright 2020.
Go home.
Nice.